Blessings, beloveds. Welcome back to my channel, Anastasia, Cosmic Astrologer, with you today. And today I just want to give you guys just a bit of a overview of what's happening with the full moon coming up on the 24th of October, which is just, well, it's tomorrow for us down here in the Southern Hemisphere anyway. Okay, so first of all, well, today the moon is in Aries, and I'm pretty grateful for that. It's just been a nice change from the moon in Pisces the last couple of days, which was lovely, but really, yeah, the moon in Pisces is always a very sensitive place for the moon, and because we now have Chiron, has retrograded back into Pisces, we're experiencing the moon catching up with Chiron in the sign of Pisces. So it can be, pretty, how can I put this? It really touches on some very deep, sensitive wounds that we have within our own self, and certainly picking up on other people's wounds and energies as well, very deep hurts and things of that nature. So I went out on the weekend with a really good friend of mine, and the moon was in Pisces, and we went to a venue where there was music, etc. And it was a very interesting night. It was, it was a space where you could just see that moon in Pisces. It just looked like a bunch of lost souls, to put it very simply. There was a lot of sensitivity around. People were quite lost, quite emotional, quite sensitive. And I mean, certainly, when you're talking about a venue where there is, alcohol and people are drinking and so forth, then obviously that's going to enhance those sorts of energies anyway. But put the moon in Pisces and going to an environment like that, well, then you're going to see all that expanded. And that's indeed what we saw. It's a very interesting night. And then, so that was Saturday night, and then Sunday was just a chill out day, just doing my astro work here from home, and just trying to rest and clear the energy from Saturday. So the past couple of days have been, I think, quite sensitive for a lot of people. The moon in Pisces just brings up a lot of teary, sort of a lot of sad type of emotions and feelings, and for the most part, people generally don't like to feel sad. And I can understand why, because sadness is it's quite a painful emotion, but it is also necessary. It is part of what we need to experience in this human dimension and these physical bodies. We don't just have one stream or one tempo. We're not always blissed out, and we're not always in caves. So we have these range of emotions that rise and set, rise and set, rise and set. And the moon's cycle around the zodiac every month is really the main light that stirs all that up, that dictates, that stirs, that evokes the various types of energies depending on the zodiac sign that she's traveling in. So, of course, that's always going to be reflected through our own birth chart, in a number of ways. First of all, it's about our own natal moon, where is our own natal moon? And then where is that transiting moon, at any given moment in relation to our birth chart? So, yeah, just something to keep in mind when you're tuning into the transiting moon. Always pay attention to where it is in the birth chart as well, because the moon, she's a light. The two main lights are the sun and the moon, and they always light up that area of the chart, that area of life as they're transiting around the chart. So, as I said, the moon today went into Aries, the 23rd of October, and I did wake up today feeling a lot more energized. Now, I am an Aries, as I've said many times before, so the moon in Aries just, going over my sun and my Mercury. I have sun and Mercury in Aries, so it just kind of it vibes me up. I get very energetic, and my energy gets extremely directed, when the moon is in Aries, and it's just a Yeah, it's a beautiful place. So it's a beautiful place for the moon in Pisces as well. Just very different energies. You know, signs that are adjacent to one another, such as, you know, Pisces, Aries. So every sign, you know, that's either side of each other, they're all very, very different. You know, we see an extraordinary transition from one sign to the other, and just how different. I mean, the two most different signs would have to be where Leo is, and then the next sign up, which is Virgo. Those are the two most opposite signs, really, and they're not opposite each other. They're adjacent, but they couldn't be more different from one another. You know, Leo's about let's just have a great time, let's just have a party, let's just have fun, and Virgo is let's clean up. Now that the party's over, it's time to clean everything up. Yeah, that's how different those energies are. So as the moon is transiting around, you know, she's picking up all these different vibrations and energies, and they're just filtering through us, depending where the moon is in our birth chart. So this full moon that's coming up is a very interesting one. It's not an eclipse or anything like that, but it is a full moon that is aspected by Uranus. That's the dominant feature of this moon. I'll talk about that in a moment. So the full moon is actually, we have the Sun conjunct Venus in Scorpio, Venus is retrograde, so the Sun's in Scorpio, Venus is in Scorpio, Mercury is in Scorpio, Jupiter's in Scorpio, so we have a lot of energy in water. We also have a lot of energy in Earth, as we have Saturn in Capricorn, we have Taurus. There's a lot of Earth energy going on. The only element that's almost absent, not completely, because we have the North Node there, is Leo. We don't have any planets in any fire signs at the moment, except for the moon today, but that's, you know, a very short-lived visit. She'll be out of that moon in Aries in no time, and will be, you know, forming that full moon. So there's not a lot of fire going on at the moment. A lot of water, a lot of earth. Now, Mars is in Aquarius, and that certainly counts for, you know, strong air. But just leaving that out of the picture for the moment, I just want us to think about the dominant energies are earth and water. Now, earth and water is always associated to security. Those two elements are all about security. Now, the earth element, in terms of security, is very much to do with the material world. And the water signs to do with security is very much to do with emotional security. So you can see earth and water have that security component in common, you know, with each other in terms of how these modes operate. So the energies at the moment are very much about our inner and outer security, literally, you know, our inner emotional security and our external material security. And this full moon highlights this very much so, because the full moon is in Taurus, and Taurus is all about security. It's about our stability. It's about feeling grounded. It's about just the basic everyday living, you know, of eating, sleeping, the essential delights and components of life. Now, this full moon, naturally the polarity is Scorpio Taurus. So the Sun's in Scorpio, moon's in Taurus. So that polarity within itself is very much about attachment and transformation. Taurus is attachment, Scorpio is transformation. So that issue of where we are really attached to something and where we may need to completely release something is certainly highlighted during the full moon. Now, Venus being conjunct the Sun and retrograde, still in retrograde motion, can bring up obviously some past emotional residue or past connections with certain relationships or people we've had, where things are still being resolved as Venus is going, you know, backwards in her cycle. And obviously during this full moon, there might just be something that gets triggered or gets totally illuminated and lit up in your life about a particular person, that you've had some backwards and forwards situations going on that have been cleared up. But it's certainly got to do with relationships, because it is Venus, the primary planet for relationships in the birth chart, or in this case, the full moon chart. So we have the Venus emphasized in Scorpio, but it is retrograde, so it's very much about review. That whole review process is still going on, and this full moon can just maybe shed some light to what needs further reviewing or further clarification. The full moon in Taurus, because the moon is exalted in the sign of Taurus, so it's an incredibly rich moon energy. It's very rich in its roots and in terms of what it stands for, which is all those things revolved around security, values, stability, feeling grounded, and attachment. And with Uranus in the picture, now Uranus is very, very close to that moon. I think they're like a degree apart, so it's a very, very tight conjunction. Uranus is coming in, and it's bringing in the energy that is very much about sudden, unpredictable, unexpected events to take place. And so the full moon in Taurus, will be a sense of feeling inclined to want to be sort of grounded and feeling very attached to certain things in your life. But the Uranus energy won't allow that. It will bring up unexpected surprises, disruptions, instability. Moon in Taurus is 100% stability, and Uranus is 100% instability. So they are very opposing forces and energies. But we are going to experience this, the Taurus component of our life being destabilized, if you like, or deconstructed, because we have Uranus in the sign of Taurus for the next 7 years anyway. So we might as well get used to that energy, because it's going to dominate pretty much the collective conscious, over the next 7 years. And then wherever that Uranus and Taurus is in the birth chart, that's the area of life that's deconstructing, because it's about releasing the old values and systems that we've held on to and we have great attachments to, which basically need to be transformed, they need to be released. It's just as simple as that. So this full moon with Uranus right on that moon, it's kind of, you could say it's like a glimpse into the future, into the very near future, because the energy of the full moon is always stirring things up. It's stirring the inner emotional body, our inner life. It's stirring all that up. And in Taurus, normally it wouldn't necessarily stir things up too much, because Taurus is the most fixed of fixed signs. It's so incredibly, stable and stubborn and fixed in its ways. They're immovable. You think about the bull out in the paddock. You can't get that bull moving if it doesn't want to move. It just takes its time, doesn't it? It just, head down, eating its grass, taking its time, experiencing the earth, feeling very connected to that. Can't rush a bull. Well, that's what the moon is like in Taurus. It has this insatiable desire for pleasures to do with the senses. Taurus is all about the senses of the body, so eating, sleeping, sexual activity, sensual activity, and so forth. So the moon in Taurus being conjunct by Uranus it's a shake-up full moon that it gives you a glimpse into what's to come for you, because wherever Taurus is for you in your birth chart, that's where Uranus is going to be transiting over the next 7 years. So that area of your life is being revolutionized, to put it quite simply. It's being liberated. But liberation and freedom and individuation, because Uranus is all about our individuation path, these things do not come easy when we hold on to the attachments and the values that we have. We go through life, many, many years holding on to certain values and beliefs and things that we're attached to. And some people don't even question, why am I so attached to that? Why am I attached to that belief? Why am I attached to that place? Why am I attached to that person? Some people don't question that. So you know, when Uranus gets into Taurus, she's there, but it's moving backwards, getting ready to go back into Aries. The you know those aspects of life are going to be disrupted, deconstructed, and this full moon is just going to be a small little snippet of that kind of energy that we will be experiencing for several years down the track. It is, however, receiving a trine from Saturn. So when you see Saturn and Uranus in a harmonious, flowing aspect together, it's a lot more manageable to handle that Uranus energy, because Uranus on its own, it's like electricity. It just comes, comes in like a tornado, like massive shock and electricity, and just disrupts everything. It's like a washing machine spinning everything around. But when you throw Saturn in the picture, Saturn trine Uranus and trine this full moon, there's a sense of stability in the changes that we need to be sort of awakened to. Uranus is the planet that awakens us. The full moon illuminates us. So clearly there is something about our own internal value systems that are really needing to be highlighted during this particular Taurus full moon. And Uranus is the one that's holding that message. Uranus is the one that's going to shake up those attachments that we have. So, wherever that full moon is for you, that's the area of life that's going to be highlighted. And, Taurus is all about, because it's very much associated to stability and hanging on and hanging on and hanging on. And the polar opposite, Scorpio, which is all about release, release, release. This energy is emphasized even more. This archetypal axis of attachment versus transformation is being seen through Venus being right next to the Sun. So that means it's bringing in, quite apart from relationships, it's also bringing in the world of money, our attachment to money and the material sort of values as well. So those sorts of issues are really emphasized during this full moon. But it's the most striking feature for me is really the Uranus component, because the Uranus it's just so different to the Taurus energy, and it's just going to throw a spanner in the works. If you're not allowing yourself to if you don't allow this energy to shake things up a bit, and you just want to sort of hang on to the attachments and the values and the feeling grounded, then this energy can be experienced as extreme disruption in your life. So just be aware of that. This full moon conjunct Uranus, on a positive level, it can also be, a great sense of excitement and freedom, a great sense of liberation that can come from the birth, or rather the illumination, full moon illumination of what sort of values are you holding on to that are just ready to just totally be changed in your life. That's what this Uranus is going to trigger, with this full moon. And I want to read the Sabian symbol to you, because the Sabian symbol is quite amazing. It has such a beautiful meaning. Not only that, it's quite extraordinary because it mentions electricity. And when you read the moon in Taurus, just the moon in Taurus alone, you would never associate the word electricity, with moon in Taurus. But listen to this. This is the Sabian symbol for 2 degrees of Taurus, which is the one you need to read because this full moon is at 1 degree. The the heading for this Sabian symbol is an electrical storm. I mean, it's actually pretty phenomenal. You know, this is just the Sabian symbol. In other words, this is a symbolic archetypal expression of what 2 degrees of Taurus actually stands for collectively, right? So if you had something in your birth chart at 1 degrees of Taurus, you would read this 2 degrees of Taurus Sabian symbol, and it may just give you further insight and understanding into that planet that you have that's at 1 degree of Taurus. Now, in this case, we are relating it to the full moon. As I said, it's an electrical storm, the keynote. The cosmic power able to transform all the implications of natural existence. I love that. The cosmic power able to transform all the implications of natural existence. Then it goes on to say, at this second stage of the fivefold sequence, we see a picture which contrasts with the one for the first stage, thus a celestial display of power versus clear, lovely sounding little stream. Back of every natural self-expression stands the tremendous power of the soul field, itself but one of the myriad aspects of the creative world that is the origin of the universe. At certain times, this power compels the natural, earth-conditioned personality, that's Taurus, to accept, perhaps in awe, the spiritual potentialities of its higher celestial destiny. This experience of power can both illuminate and shatter. The next symbol reveals its positive possibilities. And then finally it says, this is a stage of existence in which revelation, now here's another, I just can't believe how many keywords in this 2 degrees of Taurus Sabian symbol connect to literally describing the energy of Uranus. And Uranus is not about 2 degrees of Taurus. This is just what this person has psychically picked up about the energy of just 2 degrees of Taurus. And in this full moon that we are assessing and talking about right now, Uranus is right there conjunct the moon. So just to finish up, I'll just start this last comment again. This is a stage of existence in which revelation is implied, at least as potentiality. The consciousness may be deeply disturbed by the visitation, but the substance of the individual being can be a fruitful experience. Now, what does that mean in plain English? I think to me that says that because Taurus has that nature of, it is nature, Taurus rules nature literally, the earth field and plane in terms of nature herself, that's all Taurus energy. So the Taurus, the archetypal energy of Taurus has so much to do with the earthing, grounding component of this reality, this existence, this experience. And there is a reminder here through this 2 degrees of Taurus Sabian symbol that there is a greater cosmic power in play, that there are celestial influences that can take the person to greater spiritual potentiality, which enhance their ability to connect to their celestial destiny. That's what this message is about. And it says that this experience of power can both illuminate and shatter. Now, it can illuminate in the case of this full moon because it is about illumination. That's what the full moon is always about. And the Uranus component coming in like electricity and shaking up the old systems that one's holding on to can be an incredibly illuminating experience for a person that is ready, right? Or at least open or receptive or accepting or able to go with that flow of energy. You can't stop Uranus, you can't suppress it, and the minute you do, it'll just create some chaos and disruption in your life anyway. So the best thing to do with Uranus energy is to allow it and to go with that flow in whichever way it's trying to decondition, destabilize things for you, for the benefit of you actually having a greater sense of freedom and liberation within yourself, and freeing yourself from old values that no longer can serve you, especially when it comes to your life path moving forward from here on. As I said, we're going to have Uranus and Taurus for the next 7 years anyway. So, and finally at the end, it talks about the consciousness may be disturbed, because when something comes unexpectedly, there is a sense of feeling disturbed. It ruffles our feathers. It shakes our core. It sort of destabilizes the ground that we're so anchored on, as it were. So anything that comes through and sort of shakes that up can be experienced as a disturbance. That's fine. That can be the initial sort of sense of things. But the ultimate end point, if you like, to this energy is that it actually brings about fruit. It's a fruitful experience. So it may not feel like that to begin with, because if you're not prepared for something that's unexpected, it can be quite disruptive. But ultimately, this is just trying to bring you closer to your celestial destiny. That's basically what the Sabian symbol is saying. So I think that's an awesome Sabian symbol. I really loved it like that. Yeah, so like I said that. So I made a note here and I said, but this full moon, because of the Uranus energy, it can just be the perfect trigger to illuminate to you what in your value system is ready to really be released and let go of. I think that's another key component to this full moon. And don't forget, Uranus rules our intuition, our right brain, so there can be sudden sense of insight, sudden sort of flashes of insight, clarity, crystallization, illumination that come as a result of this full moon, particularly because Uranus is there. And because of all the energies being in earth and water, as I said, there's a lot of focus on our sense of security at the moment, both internally and externally. And when it comes to security, for the most part, as human beings, we are creatures of habit and creatures of attachment. So we attach ourselves, in pretty major ways to our external world and our relationships and, the security or lack of it, whatever that we feel in our relationships. So the feeling realm, in other words, and the sense of security that we attach to the structures and conditions of our life. And because the predominant energies are in earth and water, those areas of our life are very highlighted at the moment. And Uranus coming in through this full moon is going to shake those worlds up quite a bit. So just be prepared for that and allow it to bring through this, what I like to envision as kind of like this electrifying sort of electric force coming through and just shining this magnificent light in that part of your life so that you can truly see and awaken. Uranus is the awakener. Let the energy awaken you to what needs to be awakened within your own self. This is a personal thing for all of us, I'm speaking in fairly general terms, but you just need to hone in on this, zone into it by looking at where this is in your own birth chart. Okay, so where this Taurus Scorpio polarity is in your birth chart, and therefore where this full moon is in your birth chart, because it is that area of life that's going to give you the clues of where you can receive this beautiful awareness, illumination, and insight and awakening force and energy, electrifying, awakening, intuition. But, having said all of that, some people, who perhaps are not aware of astrology or aware of, these energies, very sort of disconnected or whatever you may call it, can go through this full moon and not a great deal happens. That's also a possibility. I mean, I'm very aware of that because I have people that I interact with, whether it's professionally or personally, through my counselling work as well, that are oblivious to to all these sorts of energies. But I still see the little things that kind of show up here and there. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I think it's not about being obsessive about the energies and trying to understand every single detail. It's more about trusting your own intuition, your own gut feeling. These this body of information, gives you, I think, a container, if you like, to have sort of layers of maybe greater depth and understanding of the various sort of levels of interpretation. But ultimately, it comes down to your own sense about things, your own intuition, and working with that energy yourself. Because any energy can really manifest in a multitude of ways, and that it is always dependent on you. It depends on where you're at in your life. It depends on how receptive you are. It depends on a number of other different things that could be going on in your life at the same time. So, there's always more. There's always more. And just another thing that I wanted to mention is this full moon is square the nodes as well. So, the nodes is always about connections, associations, and relationships. So the nodes being square this full moon, sun, moon, the nodes they're forming the nodes of the sun and the moon are forming is what's called a grand cross, basically. Now, the sun and moon, anyway, is almost always about at least our emotional responses to the relationships that we are connected to in our life, right? So the relationship principle is always there. We're talking about the primary masculine and feminine luminary, sun and moon. Now, in this picture, we have Venus. So she comes in there and highlights the Venusian component of our life, which, as I said, has got to do with the world of relationships, of course, but it's also got to do with your money, things that you value, and so forth. And Uranus, we've already talked about what Uranus brings in. Now, the nodes coming into squaring this full moon, and because Venus is retrograde in Scorpio, says to me that there is some unfinished business there with past connections, perhaps, or a revisitation of someone from the past coming back into your life. There's that component because Venus is going retrograde in Scorpio, and the full moon is squaring the nodes. But the nodes have two, there's two sides. There's the south node and then there's the north node. Now, the south node component may stimulate past connections or relationships, and the north node can stimulate you actually connecting to or attracting some new connection in your life at this time. And this connection, will have the flavour of what this full moon represents, which is moon conjunct Uranus. It's about liberation, freedom, intuition, being able to express your individuality. It's a a non-conventional energy. And it's quite weird, actually, because Taurus is quite a conventional sign. It's very traditional. And Taurus, in its essence, is very traditional and conventional. But Uranus there changes all that up. It totally, it makes it very, very, well, it has to add the element of, yes, there's a part of me that needs to have like a stable sense of security within my own self. But on the other hand, I also value and feel a strong sense towards freedom. You know, I feel like I need to have emotional freedom. But actually, that's what I wanted to mention. Because the moon represents the emotional body, the inner emotional life, and literally the physical body as well. Uranus conjunct this full moon is saying, amongst everything else that I've just mentioned, it's also saying that this is where I need to have emotional freedom. You know, this is what's lighting up, because the full moon is going to light this up through your chart, right? So this full moon conjunct Uranus is saying, this is where I need emotional freedom right now in my life. So what do I need to do about that? What do I need to release? What do I need to adjust? How am I going to experience this sense of emotional freedom and independence? You know? That's another very strong theme that comes up with this full moon conjunct Uranus. So have a think about all that. See how it gels for you, how it fits, how it feels. And love to hear from all of you after this full moon, which is in a couple of days' time. And, you know, I'm very interested to hear your experiences, your reflections, your thoughts, and so forth. I think I can leave it there. This was meant to be a 10-minute video. I don't know how long it's been. Probably been about 20 minutes, maybe. Okay, well, happy full moon, guys, and keep your comments and questions coming. I appreciate all of them, and sending you all beautiful, exciting, because that's the other thing that Uranus does. It adds a strong sense of excitement. You know, it's also a strong sense of restlessness. You know, there's this burning sort of electricity that just gives you a sense of I'm restless. I really need to do something. I really need to, you know, just I need to be free. I need to, you know, it's all that sort of stuff. It's electricity, so you can't contain electricity. It's the unexpected. So be prepared for the unexpected with this full moon, and just keep in mind the various components that are highlighted for you as well. And see you guys soon with something else. Much love and blessings. Thanks for watching, and thanks for comments and all the love. Love you guys. Bye.